Hello, Mike Wraith here, and welcome to this video on paragraph structure. This really is the big one. This is the video that I would expect you to watch multiple times this term and probably throughout your university degree. Here is where we look at the basic, and when I say basic, I don't mean childish, I mean absolutely essential structure for academic writing and professional writing in English and at Anglia Ruskin University, London. Okay, so let's get started. Paragraphs are really made up of two things. You make your point, your idea, clear. Usually there's only one per paragraph. And you have supporting information. That's it. That's a paragraph. One clear point, followed by supporting information to justify it. That's a paragraph. In some cultures, they don't make the point clear at the beginning of the paragraph. However, in English, we do. And that is it. From the age of 6 years old, when children are reading in English, they're being conditioned to digest information one paragraph at a time, one idea at a time, to see the idea clearly and then have it explained to them. So this is what they're expecting of you. Now, your marker, when they're reading your assignments, they're going to give you good marks because of the quality of your supporting information. But if you don't make your idea clear, then the supporting information isn't worth anything. And as you grow, as you improve in your writing ability, in your intellectual ability through your university degree, your supporting information will get better and better and better. But essentially your first sentence will remain roughly the same. We could make the same point that, that willpower is useful for university students. We can make that point at GCSE, we can make that point at A-level, we can make that point at the beginning of university, we can make that point at the end of the university. We can make that same point in our PhD thesis. The same idea. But at each level, the justification, the examination, the explanation of that idea is different. And so, really, what you want to do is you want to really learn how to get really good and really quick at making your idea clear, at making it respond to the task really, really quickly, straightforwardly, so that you can spend your time focusing here. If you're spending 90% of your time trying to find a way to make this sexy, well, then you're really probably going to confuse the reader by overly complicating the idea, and you won't have time for the good supporting information. It will be roughly description. So this is very, very, very important. So let's have a look here. This is a paragraph taken from the reading in week 1 on Tierman's research. However, not all of Tierman's participants were so successful. So here we have the topic, the participants, and the idea, where's my cursor? Not all of them were so successful. And here's my supporting information. Compared the 100 most successful men, the A group, and the 100 least successful men, the C group. Okay, so not all of them were so successful. Despite their high IQ scores, only a handful of the C group were professionals, not so successful. Unlike the A group, the C's were earning only slightly above the national average income. They were not so successful. Their personal lives, they were less healthy, higher rates of alcoholism, 3 times more likely to be divorced. Not so successful, not so successful, not so successful. Everything in this paragraph is about this very simple and clear idea. But just look how much evidence there is for this. That is a paragraph. We have our main point, followed by supporting information. Here's another one from our Bolt and Dunn research. The importance of kids' ability to delay gratification in the marshmallow test became apparent as the years passed. More confident, more trustworthy, more dependable. Okay, the importance is becoming apparent here. Better at handling stress. So the importance is again more apparent. More likely to welcome challenges and to persevere in the face of difficulty. More than a decade after they had been put to the test, they were still better able to delay gratification in the pursuit of larger rewards. Okay, so as the years passed, again we have more than a decade as the years are passing. So really this is fully justifying this sentence. It's not talking about something different. It's digging deeper into the same idea. Here's another one. In one clear variation, one second, where's my cursor? Here we are. In one clever variation of the original study, investigators found that merely instructing children to think differently about marshmallows affected their capacity to delay. So thinking differently is our topic. Affected is our idea, but what did it affect? Their capacity to delay. So here we have, think of the marshmallows they were waiting for as puffy, round clouds. In other words, to focus on the cool, abstract qualities of rewards. So they're thinking differently. Other children were told to think about how sweet and chewy the marshmallow was. So here we're given more information about how the different way of thinking, how it would be in their mouth, to focus on the hot, pleasurable aspects. So we're giving a code here. We've got cold, we've got hot for our description. The results, I recommend you don't ask questions in your writing. Again, Bolt and Dunn are teachers, and so they speak and they write the way that teachers do. But in your writing as students, you answer questions, you don't ask them. The children, where's my cursor? The children who thought about their rewards in hot terms were able to wait only 5 minutes on average. So that is the effect, isn't it? Thinking differently affected their capacity to delay. And those who thought about them in cool terms were able to wait an average of 13 minutes. So that is a very different capacity to delay. 15 versus 5. So thinking about it clearly creates an impact in the children's ability to delay. Okay, it's very important. Everything in here, they're talking about what the different types of thinking involve, and they're saying how they impact. This is clear and well-structured justification. So organizing and structuring ideas. Essay structure. This is really where we're moving towards. For the first 3 weeks of the module, students, you're writing individual paragraphs and learning how to do that. You can't really write an essay until you know how to write main paragraphs. But this is an essay structure. We begin with a short introduction summarizing summary of the essay that responds to the task. Now I'm going to add one thing in here, and that is that there should be no general information or irrelevant definitions. Okay? Don't give definitions for very simple things. Now let's say you're writing about entrepreneurial skills and you want to write about effectuation. Most people don't know what effectuation is, so you should probably make that clear to them in the introduction paragraph in a sentence or half a sentence. But if you're writing about self-discipline, most people know what self-discipline is. If you're writing about skills, most people know what skills are. If you're writing about communication, most people know what communication is. So don't teach your granny to suck eggs. Your granny knows very well how to suck eggs. Don't give them a schooling in it. Okay? The introduction paragraph is not about irrelevant general information. It is about introducing the ideas inside your essay. So you would summarize the essay. Every idea in your essay would be clear in your introduction paragraph. After that, you would have 3 or more detailed main body paragraphs. Okay, if you've got 3 ideas, then why not write an essay? If you just have 2 ideas, if you just have 1 idea, then don't write an essay. Just write paragraphs. Short answer tasks are for a small number of ideas. Essays are for a larger number of ideas. So the essay would begin with an introduction that summarizes the essay. The main body would really be 3 or more ideas. Each paragraph, 1 idea. Each paragraph would have 1 idea. And at the end, we would have a short closing summary. Many people call this a conclusion. I don't, because for me a conclusion is a definite decision at the end of a discussion or a debate essay. But most essays that you'll be writing at university won't be a discussion or a debate. They'll just ask you, how does this impact that? And they'll be looking for different impacts. And so at the end you would summarize, a short closing summary. But you could call that a conclusion if you want to. There's no harm. And then after that you have a list of sources. So this is an essay structure. Now I'm not really worried right now about the introduction paragraph, because you see, you can't summarize your essay until you have gotten really good at writing your main body paragraphs. And I'm not really worried about this, because if you can write a good introduction and you can write good main body paragraphs, then it's very, very easy to summarize it. Most students do quite well at this without really me ever having to look at it or give them advice. And your list of sources. Now, there are particular rules for that, and you'll learn about them at level 4 in your academic and professional skills class, and we'll give you some points in that direction. But really, just a clear and logical list at level 3 of the sources that you are using. My main focus is on the main body paragraphs. These are the most important part of your essay. Each main body paragraph communicates one idea. And what are university students graded on? They're graded on the quality and the clarity of their ideas. So if you have a poor quality paragraph, or a paragraph which is not clear, then your idea is of low quality, or your idea is unclear, and so you cannot pass at university. It is the main body paragraphs where you live or die in your assignments. The quality of your writing is based on the quality and the clarity of your ideas. So we could talk about it this way. This is a very nice structure. Peel, point, evidence, explanation, elaboration, link. And this is really it. So structuring your idea into a nice, well-organized paragraph, this is really how to do it. Make your point clear. Then tell me, what's your evidence for that point? Then explain it. Now, the word elaborate is there because later on, when you go to level 4, you'll be going beyond the explanation into different kinds of elaboration. Link, for you in the first term of level 3, you would link it back to the task, but in your second term, when you're looking at research skills 2, you would probably be using examples. At this moment, I do not want you using examples at all, because examples come after, where's my cursor? Examples come after good quality explanation. If you haven't learned how to explain and you jump straight to the examples, then the example is just a description of a story. An example really is a support. It is an application of explanation. So I don't want any students in the early days of Research Skills 1 giving me examples. Just explain. Just explain. Very often students, they put examples because they struggle with explanation and they don't want to do it. But you must practice writing explanation now. And so for you, you will link your explanation back to the task. That's really what it is. Point, evidence, elaborate, link. Another way of thinking about it is this nice picture. I recommend you take a photograph of this and keep it with you. A simple main body paragraph would have a topic sentence that would make the idea, or more importantly, the answer to the task, clear. Every paragraph answers the task. Then we have the evidence a quote from the textbook. I want to see you using quotes in your assignments. Interpret the concepts in the quote, explain, and then repeat the idea at the end of the paragraph. So we left off with this image, a simple main paragraph. Topic sentence, make the idea, the answer, clear. So in your final assignments and in all of your homework, all you need to do is look at the task and at the beginning of each paragraph, just directly answer it. Each time a different idea, but one that answers the task. It will likely be the same topic, certainly for research skills 1, it will be the same topic. Sometimes you'll have maybe 2 or 3 topics in a longer assignment for other modules. But generally speaking, the topic should be mostly consistent, but the idea will change each time. So you do that at the beginning of each paragraph. Very often, using the language from the task to make sure the examiner knows that you are answering that task. After the topic sentence, you will give evidence. Now, I want you to use a quote, and I'm going to show you what a quote looks like today. There's also videos and material in week 1 that plants ideas in your head there. But essentially, in your final assignments for Research Skills 1, I need to see that you know how to quote from the textbook. That is very important. Now, after you have written the quote, I need to see that you can interpret that quote correctly in your words. And then after the interpretation, really this is the main thing here. Explain fully the main idea of the paragraph. Here's your idea, your answer. Here's your evidence. But this part here, this is the bit that separates the C from the D, the C from the A student. The better quality and clarity and detail and depth of your particular idea, the higher your grade will be. And at the end, just link back to the task. Repeat the idea. And that's it. So let's have a look at this task. This was the task from week 1, class writing. Explain one type of feedback that is useful to university students. And so here we have the answer. So feedback was our topic, and we were asked about one that is useful, in particular to students. So one of the most useful types of feedback that students receive at university is reflective feedback. And the majority of students have done that already. You've written something, you completed the reflection document, and that reflection document is guiding you through an examination of your work. So it is feeding backward, looking at your work, but also it is feeding forward. It is showing you how you can improve in the future. So that is one of the most useful types of feedback. That is our topic sentence. The topic sentence is the first sentence of the paragraph, and it is making the idea clear. Ducasse and Hill, 2019, page 4, suggests that feedback works best when the student, quotation mark, evaluates their performance and identifies, end quotation mark, improvements. That is our quote from the research, and we have the author's name, the year, and the page. This means that, this is our interpretation of the quote, that students should reflect and critically examine their own work. This is useful because, so here again we have gone back to the idea, haven't we? Useful. I'm not just writing anything I know or think about reflective feedback. I'm specifically talking about how and why it is useful. Remember, explain means to tell me why and or how in clear detail. So this is useful because it gives students the opportunity to examine each principle at a deeper level than just reading about it in class. It increases understanding. It builds the student's capacity to self-improve independently. And that's it. That is why, as a result, this is the main type of feedback used. So this is our explanation of how the concept in the quote, that reflective feedback, contributes to the overall idea useful to university students. So let's look a little bit more detail into the quote. So here we have the author's name. So there are two authors here, Ducasse and Hill. Their surnames only. The author's exact words, evaluates their performance and identifies. These are the words taken from the book. And we have the quotation marks here and here. Typically we also have the year and we have the page. And so that's it. Now this is very important. This is a very rigid structure. If you're using somebody else's words inside your assignment, well, think about it. That's kind of cheating, isn't it? It's not your words. So you need to compensate for that. You need to compensate for that by putting quotation marks around it. Now those of you who come from other cultures where quotation marks are written differently, you need to make sure your quotation marks are in the English way. Make sure that your keyboard is set to English typing, not Romanian, not French, not Italian writing, not Spanish or Portuguese. Make sure the quotation marks are above the middle in both cases. And it's very important. You'd be surprised how pedantic examiners can be at university. In many ways it is like a tick box exercise. We just want to know that you can do what you were taught to do. That is really what university assignments are about. You could add other information, and sometimes people do, like the source's name, but realistically it gets quite messy. And so don't. Just keep it to the name, the year, and the page. Later on at Academic and Professional Skills, you'll learn about Harvard referencing, the particular format and formalities there. And if you follow these instructions, when that comes up, you'll find it easy. But for our purposes, we're just talking about giving credit where credit is due. Now, the other problem with using somebody else's words is we cannot give you credit in an assignment for understanding those words unless you interpret it. So immediately after the quote, you would say, this means that, and you would tell me what these words mean, but in your words. And don't just go to a dictionary or Google Translate or something like that and change the words, because it can end up becoming gibberish. Ask yourself, what does this mean? What does this mean to me? How would I explain it to a 9-year-old child? How would I explain it to a colleague who doesn't really understand these things very well? How can I explain it, or how can I interpret it clearly and accurately my way? Okay, take it in through your eyes and into the machine of your mind and think, what does it mean to me? And that forces you to use your own words, your own expression. It comes out in a very different order. Okay, students should reflect and critically examine their own work. That is quite different in expression to this, but it's the same meaning. Each concept in the quote has to be thought about and interpreted by the student in their own words and reordered inside their mind. It should still, though, be the same meaning as the quote. Okay, and then we put it together like this. And really, this first part here is build up to this. Okay, this is your claim. This is your clear claim. And if you make a claim, there's your point. I don't believe you unless you have evidence. You must give evidence. But really what gets you your grade is your explanation. This is useful because. So make sure you're explaining how the concepts in the quote contribute to the overall idea of this paragraph. You're not just describing the topic, you're not just eating information and vomiting it out on the page, as a lot of teachers will call it. You are really thinking, how does this contribute to the idea? How does this contribute to the particular task that I was asked? At university, your assignments will be very particular. They will not be general. They will not be just describe the information, but to use it in a particular way. And so in order for you to get good grades, it is your explanation that is important. But of course, at levels 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you cannot have that elaboration unless you have a topic sentence that makes the idea clear, evidence to support it, you're interpreting your evidence. So all of these go together. Now, let's have a look at this one. This is a common mistake. This would be a wrong paragraph, right? And it's wrong for two reasons. So our original task was explain one type of feedback that is useful to university students. And here, this sentence here says one type of feedback is reflective feedback. Well, that's true, but there's no mention of students, there's no mention of usefulness. So this is just information. The student's just writing something without thinking, how does this relate to what I was asked for? In a way, they are ignoring the task, either deliberately or through lack of effort or through lack of intelligence. But usually the students on this course are intelligent, and so they are either deliberately ignoring the task because they think I need to have very special language. I can't repeat, or so either they're deliberately ignoring the task, or they're ignoring it just because they didn't spend enough time and effort understanding the task. That's usually what it is here. So this is a problem for that reason. But more importantly, see down here in green, this is useful at university because, see, that's what the task was asking for. So that's the right answer. So the student has the right answer. But they were beating about the bush. They didn't get straight to the point. And in English, this is a problem because you see the reader has made up their mind in this first sentence what this paragraph is about. It's about reflective feedback in general. It's got nothing to do with students. It's got nothing to do with usefulness. And when you mention university here, you now change the subject. It is a new idea, a new point, and that is breaking a fundamental rule of the English language, and it causes confusion in the mind of the reader. So you would be signaling to the reader that you just do not know how to write a basic, simple paragraph in English. And you didn't do it deliberately. You did it through lack of effort, or perhaps because you've got a habit of writing in your own culture which is different from English and you have not adapted. So do not resist adaptation. Manage the change that you're going through at the moment, and do not ignore the task, because if you're doing that, you're asking to fail, and we don't like seeing students fail. This is very important. This is wrong for two reasons. Look here at this paragraph. Look at the particular idea. So useful to students, useful at university. Look how that weaves through this paragraph. Look how feedback weaves through this paragraph. The particular reflective feedback is weaving through there. And there are other words as well that link to reflection. This is critical. So there are a couple of other things to think about as well. I'm just going to put them on the page here so you can take your time to look at it. But basically, writing should not be personal. Don't say me, don't say I, don't say my. No we, no our, no us. Don't say I think, don't say in my opinion. I know it's your opinion because you're writing it, but don't draw my attention to it. The words should be written in full, no contractions. I saw a student use the word uni instead of university. Don't do that in your writing. Keep it full. It is best to avoid asking questions and keep your sentences short and clear. 12 to 18 words is about right. Sometimes they might be longer, sometimes they might be shorter, but just manage it. Most words should be easy to understand, No confusing words. No complex phrases. Make it easy for people to read. Make it easy for them to give you an A. Stay safe. Good luck.